What if the reason you can't find peace, can't trust fully, or keep sabotaging your happiness isn't because you're weak? It's because the child you once were is still right here, silently asking for love, for safety, for someone to finally stay. And what if I told you that someone could be you? Stay with me, because this might be the moment everything changes. Inside you, there's a forgotten voice, a voice that once spoke freely, laughed without fear, and dreamed without limits. But somewhere along the way, that voice grew quiet. Life became heavier, responsibilities took over, and the innocence that once made you feel alive faded into. The background psychologist Carl Jung taught us that buried deep within the unconscious is a part of us that never truly disappears, the inner child. This hidden self carries not only the brightest joys of childhood, but also the deepest wounds, the silent fears, and the unmet needs that continue to shape how we live, love, and see ourselves. Have you ever wondered why you struggle with self-worth? Even when you achieve success, why you keep falling into toxic relationship patterns, no matter how much you try to change? Or why, despite feeling emotionally exhausted, you can't seem to break free from the same painful cycles? The answer isn't out there. It's within you. Your inner child is still waiting to be seen, waiting to be heard, waiting to feel safe. Jung believed that true self-love isn't found through external validation. It's found through a process of integration, bringing together the wounded parts of yourself and making peace with them. He called this the path to individuation, the journey toward becoming whole again. But how do you reconnect with the part of yourself that feels so far away? How do you heal subconscious wounds that seem to control your emotions, relationships, and sense of self-worth without you even realizing it? By the end of this video, you will understand the 6 powerful steps to heal your inner child, a process that will not only free you from emotional burdens, but also unlock a level of self-acceptance and inner peace you may have never experienced before. If you've ever felt like something is missing, if you've ever wondered why certain emotions seem impossible to control, and if you're truly ready to break free from the patterns that keep you stuck, stay with me. Because today you're about to uncover the key to deep, lasting transformation. For those ready to explore this path further, my ebook reveals life-changing practices to support your healing and personal transformation. If this touched something inside you, don't walk this journey alone. Stay connected. There's more waiting for you here. Acknowledge the voice you've been ignoring. There's a part of you that you've spent years, maybe even decades, trying to silence. It's that soft, almost imperceptible whisper that rises when the world goes quiet. The voice that surfaces when you're lying awake at night, wondering why, despite everything you've achieved, you still feel empty. Why no amount of success ever feels like enough. Why love, no matter how close it comes, always feels just out of reach. That voice is not your weakness. It is not your failure. It is your inner child. Carl Jung believed that until we bring the unconscious into conscious awareness, it will continue to rule our lives, and we will simply call it fate. Think about that. How often have you caught yourself saying, "Why does this always happen to me?" Or "Why do I always end up feeling this way?" These aren't just coincidences or bad luck. These are unconscious patterns. Wounds from a time when you didn't have the tools, the words, or the power to understand what was happening to you. Your inner child formed her first beliefs about the world before you ever had a conscious say in them. She learned through experience what love meant, what rejection felt like, and how safe or unsafe it was to express her feelings. If she grew up in a space of unconditional love and security, she carries that foundation of trust even now. But if she experienced neglect, harsh criticism, emotional invalidation, or absence of safety, she learned to survive in ways that became emotional walls, defenses that might still be in place today. The first step to healing is to acknowledge her voice, not just when it's convenient, not only when you feel strong enough to face the discomfort, but every time that familiar ache arises, that tightness in your chest when someone criticizes you, that sudden wave of anxiety when you feel someone pulling away, that cold sinking feeling when you're left out or forgotten. These are not irrational emotions. These are echoes of the moments when you felt unseen, unheard, or unworthy as a child. And until you turn toward those feelings with curiosity instead of shame, they will continue to shape how you love, how you trust, and how you respond to the Most people spend their entire lives running from this voice. They drown it out with distractions. Endless work, toxic relationships, constant busyness, or chasing achievement after achievement. But no matter how fast you run, that voice always catches up. And the harder you push it down, the louder it becomes, showing up as anxiety, depression, self-sabotage, or the persistent feeling that something is missing. Acknowledging your inner child is not about reliving the pain of the past. It's about accepting that this part of you exists and deserves to be heard. It's about noticing when she shows up and gently asking, "What are you trying to tell me right now?" And the most difficult truth, she's not asking for anything. Impossible. She isn't demanding perfection. She's not waiting for you to achieve some grand success before she believes you're worthy. She just wants to be acknowledged, to feel safe. To know that finally someone is willing to listen to her without judgment or shame, and that someone is you. You might wonder, but how do I actually hear this voice? I'm not even sure I know how to find her. Start small. Notice the moments when your emotions feel bigger than the situation. That flash of anger that feels disproportionate, the fear that rises out of nowhere when someone gets too close, the sadness that washes over you during moments that should feel happy. These are invitations. Not to fall apart, but to become aware. Instead of pushing those emotions away, pause and ask, what memory does this remind me of? What part of me feels unsafe right now? Sit with the discomfort, even if just for a moment. Place your hand over your heart if it helps. Take a deep breath and allow the feeling to exist without trying to fix it immediately. Your inner child isn't asking you to solve all her problems at once. She just wants to be seen, to be told that it's okay to feel what she's feeling. This is where healing begins, not with grand solutions, but with quiet acknowledgement. The more you practice this, the more you'll start to notice her voice, before it turns into a scream of anxiety or a tidal wave of sadness. Over time, you'll develop a relationship with her that is built on trust, and as that trust grows, something incredible starts to happen. You begin to understand yourself in a way you never have before. You start to recognize the real reasons behind your reactions, your fears, and even your desires. And from that place of awareness, you gain the power to make different choices, not choices driven by fear or avoidance, but by a deep, compassionate understanding of what you truly need. This is the first and most crucial step. Acknowledge the voice you've been ignoring for far too long, because once you hear her, really hear her, you'll realize she's not here to ruin your life. She's here to help you heal it. Step 2. Create a safe emotional space for your inner child. Once you've acknowledged the voice of your inner child, the next step is to create the one thing she has always longed for, but may have never truly experienced: a safe emotional space. Most people believe that emotional safety comes from the outside, from people who love us unconditionally, from stable relationships, from environments that never challenge or hurt us. But the truth is, no external condition can ever replace the internal safety we build within ourselves. Your inner child isn't waiting for someone else to come and rescue her. She's waiting for you to show her that, no matter how overwhelming her emotions may feel, you're not going to abandon her again. Carl Jung taught that the parts of ourselves we exile, the fears, the shame, the sadness, do not disappear. They retreat into the unconscious, becoming more powerful precisely because they are unacknowledged. And as they grow in the dark, they quietly take control of our lives, influencing our relationships, our decisions, and our ability to feel joy. That's why creating a safe internal space is essential. It begins with how you respond to your own emotions. When you feel sadness rising, do you immediately push it down, distracting yourself with work, your phone, or endless tasks? When anger surfaces, do you shame yourself for it, believing it makes you weak or unworthy? Or can you pause just for a moment and simply allow those emotions to exist without judgment? This is what it means to create safety. It doesn't mean you have to like every feeling that surfaces. It doesn't mean you won't feel discomfort. But it does mean you stop treating your emotions as the enemy. You start saying to yourself, it's okay to feel this. I can stay present with this feeling without running away. Every time you allow yourself to experience an emotion without trying to numb it or fix it immediately, You're sending a powerful message to your inner child. You're safe now. I'm not going anywhere. This practice may feel uncomfortable at first. After all, you've likely spent years building walls to avoid these feelings. But remember, healing doesn't happen in comfort zones. It happens when you gently lean into the discomfort and show yourself that you can survive it. One of the simplest ways to create emotional safety is through presence. When a difficult emotion arises, place your hand over your heart or gently rest your palm on your stomach. Take a slow, deep breath and bring your attention fully to the sensation. Instead of saying, "I shouldn't feel this," try asking, "What is this feeling really trying to tell me?" Treat your emotions like you would a small, frightened child. Would you yell at a scared child and tell them to stop crying? Or would you kneel down, hold their hand and say, "I'm here, you're safe, it's okay to feel what you're feeling"? That is exactly what your inner child needs from you now. As you practice this, you might notice something remarkable. The more you offer yourself safety, the less overwhelming your emotions become. Anxiety begins to soften. Sadness becomes something you can hold rather than something that drowns you. And slowly, those emotions that once felt unbearable start to pass through you more gently because they no longer have to fight for your attention. This is how emotional freedom begins. It doesn't start by eliminating negative feelings. It starts by creating a safe place within yourself where every part of you, every joy, every sorrow, every fear, is allowed to exist without punishment. Over time, this safe space becomes your sanctuary. It's the place you return to when the world feels overwhelming, when relationships trigger old wounds, or when the voices of the past try to tell you that you're not enough. And every time you choose to stay with yourself in those moments, rather than abandon yourself again, you build trust. You show your inner child that she no longer has to fight for your attention. She no longer has to act out through anxiety, self-sabotage, or emotional shutdown, because now she finally has what she's always needed: a safe space, a place where she is seen, a place where she is heard, a place where she is loved, exactly as she is. And that, more than anything else, is how the healing begins. Step 3. Reparent yourself with compassion. If the first step is acknowledging the forgotten voice within you, and the second is creating a safe space for that voice to be heard, then the third step is perhaps the most life-changing of all. It's learning how to reparent yourself with the compassion you may have never received, but have always deserved. For many, the word parent brings memories of unmet needs, conditional love, and moments where comfort should have been given, but never arrived. You might have grown up hearing that emotions were a sign of weakness, that your needs were inconvenient, or that love had to be earned through perfection, obedience, or self-sacrifice. And over time, those messages didn't just shape how you saw the world. They shaped how you saw yourself. You became your own harshest critic, repeating the same patterns of invalidation and judgment that you once experienced. Without realizing it, you took on the role of the same caregiver who once failed to meet your needs. Only this time, the voice of judgment wasn't coming from outside. It was coming from within. But here's the truth that changes everything. You have the power now to become the parent you always needed. You have the power to offer yourself the love, validation, and kindness that no one else could provide. This isn't about blaming those who raised you. It's about breaking the cycle. It's about refusing to abandon yourself the way you were, once abandoned. Reparenting begins in the smallest of moments, the times when you make a mistake and instantly hear that inner voice saying, "You're a failure. You'll never get it right." In that moment, you have a choice. You can fall back into the old patterns and continue the cycle of self-judgment, or you can pause, take a deep breath, and respond with compassion. You can gently tell yourself, "It's okay. You're learning. You don't have to be perfect to be worthy of love." These words might feel strange at first. You might struggle to believe them. But the more you speak to yourself with kindness, the more your nervous system begins to feel safe. The more your inner child starts to believe she is no longer alone. Reparenting also means giving yourself permission to feel what you feel without shame. When sadness rises, instead of pushing it down, you sit with it. You listen to it. You ask, "What do you need right now?" When fear shows up, you don't dismiss it. You acknowledge